Hey, you're watching Half Asian Tarot Queen, and I've been doing a ton of readings, very unusual number of readings recently, because there's just like a lot of energy, and it's kind of like this epic climax, and so, well, for me, it just like feels better to just kind of process the energy and like move through it, so I just keep doing more readings. So anyways, I'm starting with the Mystical Shaman Oracle. Get some overall energies. This is really interesting what's coming through so far. Okay, well, this came in the last one. Okay, so we got the corn, abundance, so that's actually good. And then we got this Taming the Wind, which was in the last reading, which I'm going to do up here, but it was, you know, talking about like, sort of like when you're taming the wind, like the wind speaks of change, and taming the wind is sort of like really just kind of like almost like maximizing the potential of the change that's in the offing. And there's this whole thing that's like about the feathers, and like it always reminds me of like Forrest Gump, and how like Forrest Gump like really was in tune with his guidance, and so it would like manifest as these like feathers that would like show him the way when things were in flux. And so that's kind of what this card speaks to. But then we also have Earthkeeper, and we have Fire, which is also, it's like transformation, like jump into the fire, which that came in reading recently too. But it's like one of my favorite Harry Nilsson songs, and Harry Nilsson's like one of the greatest artists of all time, so you should check it out. But transformation, and like clearly when you look out into the world, there's like a huge transformation that's happening right now, like undeniably. I mean, things are in just this crazy flux. But what's interesting is that the Earth Keepers also came out with that. So it's almost like, so the Earth Keeper speaks to like the people who are like stewards of the earth, and who are like part of a mission that's larger than themselves, and that by being part of that, you will be like lifted to like higher realms than you would be otherwise, you know. So it's interesting that we have this total transformation that's happening. These Earth Keepers, these stewards of the earth, are being called out, and then we also have this transformation into this realm of abundance. So it's almost like these Earth Keepers are going to be like the chosen people in this sort of new world. There's this new order emerging, and like that's kind of what I'm getting with this. It's almost like yeah, like the chosen people. And so it's just sort of like it's very interesting. Because, well, when you like drill down all the conflict that's happening like worldwide, like, you know, we talk about how it's about like democracy versus autocracy and blah blah blah, but really at the root of like all the conflict is trying to control all the resources of energy, because energy resources are becoming scarce, and that's just you know, the truth, you know. And I mean, like, Russia is one of the largest energy producers, and that's kind of why we have this huge conflict that's going on. I mean, that's the real reason, you know. And so it's just sort of like interesting that we have these Earth Keepers, and it's like almost like the people who are doing like moving forward with like renewable energy, and like the birds here, like in alignment with the truth and the way things actually are, and that we have to move forward into a future that's based on renewable resources because things are changing, and that and that those are going to be the people that are going to be successful in the next era of evolution, you know, which is a really interesting message to come through. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I just went on this drive with my mom, and we went to Colorado, and like, so I was driving this drive that I hadn't really driven, but I was like really struck by the number of like windmills that I saw on that drive in places where I wouldn't expect to see them. So there's obviously this change that's already happening. And even just the number of trucks that we saw driving by with like windmill arms on the back, you know, like it's a thing that's happening. So yeah, I don't know where that's coming from, but OMG. Okay, so I just went to Radiant Wise Spirit, and on the bottom we got the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands is like a warrior queen, and she's like really empowered, you know, and she's like she's fiery and she's passionate, and you know, people like want to be her, and she's like sort of like I mean, people see her as like beautiful and successful and powerful, you know. So we have this empowered queen, and then interestingly we have the Five of Swords, and we have Justice. So there's gonna be winners and losers, like, you know, like not everyone's in alignment with this, the way things, the reality on the ground, you know. There was a reading recently called The Reality on the Ground is Epic, and like that might be relevant to this reading, but like not everyone's in alignment with it. So some people are gonna not be on the right page, you know, but justice is gonna be served. So it's almost like, you know, if you're gonna bring it down to like the whole world and what's going on, it's just sort of like Russia's really trying to throw their weight around because they control a lot of the energy, and but the way that they're going about doing it is like just inhumane and like brutal. And so, you know, normally those tactics would work, but in this new era, like it's like everyone's just like, no, we're not doing this. Like, this is going to change. Like, justice is happening. And so like the winners and the losers might not be who we expect, but there's gonna be some. Like, not everyone is in alignment with this new arrangement, you know. And really the ultimate arbiter of justice is gonna be the universe, you know, because yeah, like the old worlds have changed, and so the people who come out ahead might not be like those who we would normally expect, you know. They're going to be the Earth Keepers, is kind of what the cards are saying. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Intuitive Night Goddess. Oh my gosh. Tarot. Oh my gosh. There's a lot that just came out. I don't know if I'm going to take all these cards because it's just too much, but okay. So I ended up with two piles at the bottom, but it's interesting because we got the Nine of Cups and we got the Nine of Pentacles. So two nines, which are like almost like a completion, but this is like wishes coming true, wishes granted. And this is like an independent, self-sufficient, like stable individual who has like a really solid foundation and is just like kind of got their stuff going on. So it's just like, it's, you know, this person is going to get their wish. You know, this person is an Earth Keeper. And we have Temperance, Introspection, the Nymph of Swords, and Revolution. So interesting. Like, this is balance happening. And then we have this is like a Hermit card, you know, in the traditional deck. So someone who's gone on this spiritual quest, and is like imbalance. And then we have this Nymph of Swords, which is kind of like a Page of Swords in the traditional deck. So it's like a message of truth or clarity. It can also be like a stalker energy. But whatever that message is, it's causing a revolution. So it's sort of like the rules of the game have changed. You know, it's interesting that this Earth Keeper looks like the Queen of Wands. Like they look alike. But, you know, in this next era, the Earth Keepers are going to be large and in charge. And it's going to kind of like take everyone by surprise, because it's like a revolution. Like, it's not how things have gone in the past, and it's not the outcome that we would expect based on history, you know, but it's like history no longer applies in this new situation. So it's almost like there's this new elite that's emerging for this new era. And it's gonna be like I feel like I've said this in the past, but in other readings, but like, you know, in the past, like the people who come out on top have been like the loudest, most aggressive, like most forceful, who just like are the most ruthless. And those people end up tending to be like the ones that end up winning, you know. But in this new order, like that's not what's going to happen, because the winners, it's going to be in alignment with justice now. So like the Donald Trumps and the Vladimir Putins of the world, who just will do whatever it takes to be on top, like, might not be the winners, you know, in the new situation, because it's based on being an Earth Keeper. Hi. Okay, I'll be right there, okay? All right, so I got release, we got love, and we got adventures. So we're releasing the old way, new way. Love is the new way. And there's a reading about that. And that's the new adventure that we're going on. Like the rules have changed, but in a good way.